The sleek, obsidian hull of the Xylar flagship gleamed in the starlight as it cruised silently through the cosmos. Inside, the atmosphere was charged with anticipation. A large holographic display flickered to life at the head of the command chamber, illuminating the faces of the elite alien generals. They had gathered for what was deemed the most significant briefing in centuries. A mission to assess humanity, a species recently deemed too unpredictable to ignore. Commander Zithar, the youngest general, leaned forward, his bright green skin shimmering under the artificial lights. His heart raced with a mix of excitement and anxiety. This was his chance to prove his worth among the seasoned leaders of the Xylar Empire. The Council's elder generals, marked by scars and lined faces, presented a stark contrast to his youthful enthusiasm. These reports from the outer sector are concerning, General Krylox intoned, his voice gravelly as he scrutinized the latest intelligence. Humanity has a penchant for conflict. Their wars are trivial yet devastating. They are a race that thrives on chaos. We must treat them as a potential threat. Laughter erupted from the assembly, a cacophony of scoffing disbelief. General Ilara, a towering figure with luminous blue eyes, shook her head. Are we to believe that a species that plays games like children poses any real danger? They are primitive. Their conflicts are nothing more than child's play. Zithar felt a fire ignite within him. But what if their child's play is the key to their survival? He interjected, his voice steady despite the disdainful looks cast in his direction. These games are not merely frivolous. They're training grounds for conflict resolution, creativity, and teamwork. We cannot dismiss their potential simply because we view their behavior as whimsical. General Krylox's piercing gaze locked onto Zithar, silencing the murmurs. You wish to gamble our resources on a race that can't even unite against their own kind. There's more than one way to assess a threat, Zithar pressed. I propose we send a reconnaissance team. Observe them firsthand. Their playtime might reveal strengths we underestimate. Who knows what we might learn? After a moment of charged silence, the generals exchanged glances. The notion of an actual mission intrigued some but unsettled others. Finally, General Ilara sighed, her expression shifting from derision to contemplation. Very well, Zithar. If you truly believe in this, you may lead the mission. But know this, you will be held accountable for any failure. The tension in the room was palpable as the council debated the details of the operation. Zithar felt a mixture of pride and trepidation. He had won their favor, but he also bore the weight of their skepticism. They would be watching him closely. After finalizing plans, the fleet engaged its hyperdrive, hurtling toward the distant blue dot that was Earth. As the ship approached the planet, Zithar peered through the viewport, captivated by the swirling clouds and vibrant greens. He felt an inexplicable pull toward this world and its inhabitants. His heart raced not only with the thrill of exploration, but also with the hope of uncovering the deeper meaning behind their dangerous play. As they landed discreetly on the outskirts of a suburban playground, Zithar gathered his team. The air was filled with the joyous sounds of laughter and shouts, a stark contrast to the cold, calculated atmosphere of the Xylar command ship. He felt a knot of excitement tighten in his chest. Perhaps the stories were true. There was something extraordinary about humanity that transcended their reputation for chaos. With one last glance at his generals, Zithar took a deep breath and stepped into the world of human children, ready to uncover the mysteries that lay within their innocent games. As Zithar stepped onto the soft, grassy expanse of the playground, the world around him exploded with color and sound. The vibrant blue sky above was dotted with fluffy white clouds, while the playground itself was a kaleidoscope of activity. Children of all shapes and sizes ran freely, their laughter echoing like a joyous melody, a stark contrast to the rigid environment of the Xylar flagship. His holographic disguise mimicked a child of about 8 years, complete with messy brown hair and a playful grin. Zithar felt a rush of exhilaration mixed with apprehension as he surveyed the scene. He noticed a group of children engaged in a game of tag, the players dashing in and out of a maze of swings and slides, their faces flushed with excitement. The rules were fluid, the boundaries of the game clearly defined yet wildly interpreted, a living embodiment of chaos that was strangely enchanting. As he approached, Zithar's heart raced with curiosity. One child, a girl with curly red hair, tagged a boy in a bright blue shirt, and they both erupted in laughter. "You're it. Try and catch me," she shouted, darting off with an agility that left Zithar momentarily stunned. He felt the urge to join them, but years of military training held him back. This was not a battle. It was something altogether different. Suddenly, a group of boys nearby began to build an enormous fort made of sticks and leaves, their voices filled with a mix of strategy and excitement. "We need to reinforce the walls. Get more branches," one shouted, while another replied, "No, we need to camouflage it. Quick." Zithar was captivated. Here was a microcosm of teamwork, creativity, and problem-solving unfolding before him. Each child contributed ideas, combining their unique perspectives into something greater than themselves. Before he could fully process it, a boy spotted him. "Hey, you! Come help us." The call was a friendly invitation, and Zithar felt an overwhelming desire to accept. This was not the fear and suspicion he had expected. These children were inviting him into their world. With a quick glance back at his team, who were still observing from the shadows, Zithar sprinted toward the makeshift fort, adrenaline surging through his veins. "What's your name?" the boy asked as Zithar joined them. Zithar," he replied, trying to sound as youthful and carefree as possible. "Awesome. We're building a fortress to protect against the monsters." Another child chimed in, eyes wide with excitement. "You can be our commander." The role felt surreal, yet exhilarating. Zithar quickly got to work, gathering sticks and leaves, weaving them into the structure. He found himself laughing and strategizing alongside them, discovering a part of himself that had been dormant amid the rigid military culture of the Xylor Empire. He felt alive in a way he hadn't anticipated. As the fortress grew, so did his connection to the children. They shared stories of their favorite games, their fears, and their dreams of becoming heroes or astronauts. With every passing moment, Zithar felt the walls built by his race's perceptions of humanity begin to crumble. Here in this realm of innocence and joy, he saw something profound. Humanity's capacity for imagination, resilience, and most importantly, the ability to find joy in shared experiences. But amid the laughter and camaraderie, Zithar's heart thudded with a sense of urgency. He was not just here to play. He had a mission to complete. The thought hung heavy in his mind, threatening to overshadow the enchanting world he was slowly becoming part of. What would the other generals think if they discovered the truth about him? Would they dismiss this experience as mere folly, or could it change everything? As the sun began to set, casting long shadows across the playground, Zithar knew he had to delve deeper into this strange, chaotic world. The journey had only just begun, and he was determined to uncover the true essence of humanity before he returned to the ship with his findings. As dusk began to settle over the playground, casting a warm golden hue across the vibrant scene, Zithar felt a mix of exhilaration and introspection. The laughter of the children echoed around him, yet he remained acutely aware of his mission. He was a commander of an advanced alien fleet, cloaked as a child amidst the chaos of human play. But the bonds he was forging felt genuine, and the games they played were more than mere distractions. They were revealing deep truths about humanity. The fort was completed, a testament to their collaboration. As Zithar stepped back to admire their handiwork, the children erupted into a cheer, their voices harmonizing in celebration. "Our fortress is impenetrable," one boy shouted, raising his arms in triumph. Zithar joined in, feeling the thrill of victory wash over him. For a moment, he was just a child, reveling in the joy of creation. "Now we need to defend it," a girl exclaimed, eyes sparkling with mischief. "Let's pretend we're under attack." Zithar's pulse quickened. This was the moment he had both dreaded and anticipated. In a flash, the playful energy shifted. The children began to run around, shouting warnings and crafting elaborate strategies to defend their fortress against imaginary foes. Zithar, feeling the pull of camaraderie, decided to embrace this new role. "Quick, we need to gather more defenders," he shouted, his voice rising above the din. The children looked at him with admiration, and he felt a rush of responsibility. It was exhilarating to be seen as a leader, even in this fabricated battle. As they played, Zithar witnessed the children exhibit remarkable problem-solving skills. They adapted their strategies, turning obstacles into advantages. Each failure met with laughter rather than frustration. Zithar couldn't help but marvel at their resilience. In each playful skirmish, he saw glimpses of humanity's ability to confront challenges with creativity and joy. This was not the chaotic civilization of savages that the Xylar Council had portrayed. This was something far more intricate and profound. Amidst the energetic chaos, Zithar took a moment to observe each child individually. There was Sarah, the fiery-haired girl who had a quick wit and a penchant for leadership. Next to her, Tim, a shy boy with oversized glasses, hesitated but then leaped into action with surprising enthusiasm. Their dynamic mirrored the complexities of human relationships. Alliances formed, challenges met, and victories celebrated, all through the lens of play. As the night deepened, the children began to gather around Zithar, their eyes wide with curiosity. "What's it like being a real commander?" Tim asked, fascination lighting up his face. Zithar hesitated, feeling the weight of the truth heavy on his tongue. He could fabricate stories of intergalactic battles and strategic maneuvers, but instead, he chose to speak from his heart. "It can be lonely," he admitted, "making tough decisions for others. But it's also rewarding to see everyone work together, just like we are now." The children nodded, their expressions a mix of empathy and understanding. Zithar was surprised by how much they grasped. These young humans were not just playing. They were learning about life, leadership, and the importance of collaboration. Suddenly, a sharp whistle pierced the air, cutting through the joyous chatter. The sound belonged to a park supervisor, signaling the impending closure of the playground for the night. The children groaned in protest, reluctant to end their game. "Let's play one last round," Zithar suggested, his voice rising above the collective disappointment. "We'll defend our fortress against the final attack." With renewed energy, the children rallied, their spirits lifted as they sprang into action once more. They moved with a shared purpose, bolstered by the sense of community they had built over the course of the evening. Zithar felt a profound connection to them, one that transcended their age and his disguise. As they launched into their final playful skirmish, Zithar's mind raced with the implications of what he was experiencing. Could this innocent chaos hold the key to understanding humanity? Would his findings change the perception of the Xylar Empire toward a race they had viewed as reckless and primitive? With each passing moment, he realized he was no longer just a detached observer, but an active participant in a greater narrative, one that might reshape the destiny of two worlds. As the final whistle blew, signaling the end of the day, Zithar felt a pang of regret wash over him. The children, panting and exhilarated, began to gather their belongings, but Zithar lingered a moment longer, savoring the last remnants of joy and laughter. He had come to this playground as an observer, but he was leaving with a sense of belonging that he had never anticipated. "Can we do this again tomorrow?" Sarah asked, her face flushed with excitement and hope. The others echoed her sentiment, their eyes bright with anticipation. Zithar nodded, a smile breaking across his face. "Absolutely. I'll be back." As he turned to leave, he felt a sense of urgency to report back to his team. But just as he was about to blend into the shadows, a small voice called out, "Hey, Zithar." He turned to see Tim running up to him, a worried look etched across his young face. "You won't tell anyone about our fortress, right? It's our secret hideout." Zithar crouched down, meeting Tim's gaze. "Your secret is safe with me, I promise," he replied, sincerity pouring from him. The boy's expression softened, and he nodded, visibly relieved. "Good. We need a place to be heroes." With that, Tim scampered back to his friends, leaving Zithar standing alone for a moment longer, absorbing the warmth of the encounter. He walked back to the hidden Xylor ship, the thrill of the day mingling with the weight of his responsibilities. As he entered the ship, he found his fellow generals in a heated debate over the human race's threat level. "Zithar," General Krylox bellowed, his voice booming. "You've returned. What did you discover?" Zithar felt the eyes of the council on him, filled with skepticism and curiosity. "I observed their behavior." "Did they demonstrate signs of aggression?" Krylox interrupted, his brow furrowing. "No, not at all," Zithar replied, shaking his head. "They are playful, yes, but not reckless in the way we imagined. Their games teach them valuable lessons about cooperation and resilience." The generals exchanged dubious glances, and General Ilara leaned forward, intrigued. "What exactly do you mean by that?" Zithar launched into a detailed account of his experiences. He described the games, the children's laughter, and their innate ability to resolve conflicts without anger. It's as if they learned to face challenges through play. Their interactions are filled with creativity, laughter, and a surprising depth of emotion. Krylox scoffed. "And you think this childish behavior signifies strength?" "Absolutely," Zithar argued, his voice rising. "These children may seem innocent, but they possess an innate ability to adapt and innovate. Their perceived chaos is actually a complex system of learning and growth. We cannot dismiss them." The room fell silent, the weight of his words hanging in the air. Zithar could see the skepticism slowly fading from Ilara's face, replaced by a flicker of understanding. "Perhaps," she began, "there's merit in exploring this further." Just then, the ship's sensors beeped, signaling a new development. Zithar's heart raced as the display revealed a larger crowd of humans gathering at the playground. "What's happening?" he asked, his curiosity piqued. "Looks like a community event," one of the crew members replied, scanning the data. "They've set up games and activities. It could be a chance to learn more about their culture." "Then we should observe," Zithar said, feeling a surge of excitement. "If these gatherings are common, they might offer insight into the human spirit, how they connect with each other beyond mere games." With a shared sense of purpose, the generals nodded, and they set the ship's systems to gather data discreetly from the playground. Zithar felt a renewed sense of determination. He would not only gather intelligence, but also seek to understand the core of humanity, something he had begun to realize was far more complex and beautiful than he had ever imagined. As they prepared for this new mission, Zithar couldn't shake the feeling that he was on the brink of something transformative, not just for his people, but for the future of human-Xylor relations. The adventure was far from over, and he was ready to dive deeper into this world of dangerous play. The Xylor ship hovered discreetly above the playground, cloaked in the shadows of evening, while the vibrant glow of the community event spilled out into the darkness below. Zithar, still caught up in the thrill of his earlier experiences, felt an electric anticipation coursing through him. This was an opportunity to gather vital information and witness firsthand how humans interacted during communal gatherings. The playground was adorned with colorful banners and twinkling lights. Families had come together, setting up booths for games and activities. Laughter rang out like music, a harmonious backdrop to the gathering. Zithar watched intently through the ship's viewport, the joy and excitement palpable even from his hidden vantage point. But the other generals in the chamber were not sharing his enthusiasm. General Krylox paced back and forth, the lines on his face deepening with concern. "This is absurd. We cannot risk exposing ourselves to their frivolous games. They could easily turn hostile, especially if they feel threatened." Zithar interjected, "But we've seen no signs of aggression. This is their way of building community. We must understand the depth of their culture." "Culture? You call this chaos culture?" Krylox scoffed, arms crossed defiantly. They're a primitive species, and this gathering is nothing more than a distraction from their inevitable self-destruction. General Ilara leaned back in her chair, contemplating. What if Zithar is right? Perhaps there is more to humanity than we have previously recognized. This event could provide insights we desperately need. Her voice, normally commanding, held a hint of uncertainty, reflecting the tension brewing among the council. A heated argument broke out, the generals exchanging harsh words. Some remained adamant that humanity was a danger best ignored, while others began to warm to Zithar's perspective, intrigued by the prospect of understanding a race that had baffled them for centuries. As the debate continued, Zithar felt a growing frustration. He knew that if they continued to view humans through the lens of suspicion and fear, they would never uncover the true potential of this species. He decided to take a bold step. What if I go down there? I can engage with them more directly and report back what I learn. Krylox's eyes narrowed. You would risk exposure. You've already played a role in their games, and now you wish to join them again. It could compromise our mission, or it could deepen our understanding of them. Zithar shot back, his heart pounding. We've underestimated their intelligence and creativity. By interacting with them, I might learn valuable information that can influence our approach. General Ilara's eyes sparkled with intrigue. It's a risky maneuver, but it could yield results. Zithar, if you believe you can maintain your cover and gather data without causing alarm, then perhaps this is worth considering. The chamber fell silent as the other generals exchanged glances, weighing the risks. Zithar felt the weight of their scrutiny, but determination surged within him. If he could bridge the gap between their two worlds, he would seize the opportunity. After what felt like an eternity, Krylox reluctantly nodded. Fine, but you will have a limited time before we pull you back. If anything seems amiss, you are to retreat immediately. Is that clear? Zithar felt a surge of gratitude mixed with apprehension. Understood. I won't let you down. As Zithar prepared to leave the ship, his heart raced with excitement and uncertainty. He knew he was about to step into a world that had already begun to change him. The energy from the playground thrummed in his ears, a siren call to explore the wonders of human connection further. He descended to the ground, still cloaked in his childlike form. The community event buzzed with life, and as he stepped into the heart of it, he felt a mixture of trepidation and exhilaration. The colorful booths beckoned, each one alive with laughter and competition. Zithar spotted a booth where children were playing a game involving balloons and water. It was chaotic yet joyful, the participants laughing and shrieking as they tried to dodge splashes. Zithar grinned, ready to immerse himself in this captivating world once more, eager to uncover the secrets of humanity hidden beneath layers of innocence and play. With each step, he felt the lines between observer and participant blur. He was not merely gathering intelligence, he was beginning to forge a bond that could redefine the future of both their worlds. Zithar was determined to unveil the layers of humanity, even if it meant stepping into the unknown. The atmosphere at the community event was electric, filled with the sounds of laughter, playful shouts, and the smell of popcorn wafting through the air. Zithar, now fully immersed in his childlike disguise, felt the thrill of adventure wash over him as he approached the nearest booth, where a group of children were eagerly tossing water balloons at each other. "Come join us," a girl called out, her eyes sparkling with excitement. Zithar grinned and joined the fray, grabbing a balloon filled with water. The sensation was exhilarating. This was more than just play, it was a rite of passage, a chance to bond with these young humans in a way he had never imagined possible. As the game progressed, Zithar found himself laughing heartily, the tension from his previous encounters with the generals dissipating. He ducked and dodged, using agility that surprised even him, and soon he was engaged in a fierce water balloon battle. Each splash of water felt liberating, stripping away the layers of his responsibilities and allowing him to simply be. The other children cheered him on, shouting playful taunts as they attempted to soak one another. "Zithar, you're so good at this. one boy exclaimed, sending a playful smile his way. In that moment, Zither realized he was no longer merely gathering intelligence. He was becoming a part of their world. After a particularly chaotic round, the game came to an end, and the children collapsed onto the grass, panting and giggling. Zither looked around, a sense of camaraderie swelling within him. "This is incredible. You all work so well together," he remarked, genuinely impressed. The children exchanged proud looks. "It's all about teamwork," Sarah chimed in, her hair sticking out in all directions, giving her a wild, untamed appearance. "When we work together, we can do anything." Their enthusiasm was infectious, and Zither felt a profound admiration for their spirit. It was as if they had tapped into something fundamentally human, a capacity to come together, to collaborate and celebrate even the smallest victories. He found himself reflecting on the stories of conflict and chaos that had colored the Xylor Empire's view of humanity. This was not a chaotic race, but rather a species capable of profound connection and joy. As they settled down, Zither glanced at the various booths surrounding them. There was one where children painted vibrant designs on small canvases, another featuring a tug-of-war competition, and yet another offering face painting. Each activity held a unique charm, a glimpse into the diverse tapestry of human culture. He approached the painting booth, where a girl was carefully applying colorful strokes to a canvas. "What are you making?" he asked, genuinely curious. "It's a dragon." She beamed, her face smeared with paint, a testament to her artistic endeavors. Dragons are powerful and fierce. Zither's heart raced at the mention of dragons. They were legendary creatures in Xylor mythology, symbols of strength and bravery. "That's amazing. Can I try?" "Sure," she replied, handing him a brush. As he dipped it into the vibrant paint, he felt a surge of inspiration. He began painting a creature of his own design, blending elements from his own culture with the whimsical imagination of Earth. As the colors flowed onto the canvas, he lost track of time, fully absorbed in the creative process. The children gathered around, marveling at his artwork, their eyes wide with admiration. "That looks so cool," one of them exclaimed. Zither's heart swelled with pride. Here he was, surrounded by humans, creating something beautiful together. It struck him how this simple act of sharing creativity echoed the deeper connection he was forming with these children. Just as he finished, the crowd erupted into cheers for another event, the tug-of-war competition. Zither felt a rush of excitement. This was a perfect opportunity to witness more of the human spirit in action. "Let's join," he shouted, and the children rallied behind him, eager to form a team. As they lined up on one side of the rope, Zither felt a surge of determination. This wasn't just a game. It was a chance to experience the essence of competition, cooperation, and the thrill of victory as a unit. The opposing team, a group of older kids, looked formidable, but Zither was unfazed. With a loud count, the game began, and the rope became a battleground of wills. Zither felt the camaraderie and energy flowing through him, igniting his competitive spirit. Together, they pulled with all their might, laughter mingling with shouts of encouragement. For a brief moment, as he tugged on that rope, Zither found himself lost in the exhilaration of human connection. In this fleeting experience, he understood that this seemingly trivial game held profound lessons about unity, strength, and the beauty of collaboration. As they stumbled backward, ultimately falling into a heap of giggles and cheers, Zither felt the foundations of his previous convictions begin to shift. These children were not just players in a game. They were architects of their own fate, weaving a narrative rich with resilience and joy. Little did he know, however, that the lessons he was learning from this whimsical world would soon be put to the ultimate test. The tug-of-war ended in a cacophony of laughter and cheers, the victor's elation palpable as the group fell into a tangle of limbs and smiles. Zither lay among the children, their joyous cries echoing in his ears, when suddenly he spotted a commotion at the edge of the playground. A group of older kids had gathered, their expressions tense, contrasting sharply with the carefree atmosphere that had enveloped Zithar and his new friends. They were watching a smaller boy, visibly upset, who had been pushed down by one of the older children. Zithar's heart raced as he saw the younger boy trying to hold back tears, clutching a toy car that had rolled away during the scuffle. "Hey, what's happening?" he asked, rising to his feet and scanning the scene. Sarah, standing next to him, frowned. "That kid is being a bully. He always picks on the little ones." Zithar felt a surge of empathy. In his own culture, any form of bullying was met with immediate intervention. "We have to help him," he declared, his heart pounding. Without waiting for an answer, he marched toward the gathering crowd. The older child, a gangly boy with a smug expression, stood over the smaller boy, who was trying desperately to retrieve his toy car. Zithar approached, steeling himself for confrontation. "Hey," he called, his voice firm. "Leave him alone." The bully turned, eyes narrowing in annoyance. "What are you going to do about it, kid?" Zithar stood tall, recalling the countless lessons he had learned through play. "You don't have to treat him like that. It's not fair." The older boy scoffed, clearly unimpressed. "And what's it to you? Mind your own business." But Zithar pressed on, drawing on the camaraderie he had built with the younger children. "He's part of our team. We work together, remember? You don't have to bully him to feel strong." The other kids in the crowd began murmuring among themselves, their expressions shifting from passive observation to curiosity and support. Encouraged, Zithar added, "Strength isn't about pushing others down. It's about lifting them up." Sarah stepped forward, her voice strong. "He's right. We don't like bullies in our group. If you want to be tough, you should try helping instead." The bully hesitated, uncertainty flickering in his eyes as the crowd rallied behind Zithar and Sarah. Their words resonated, creating a shift in the atmosphere. The younger boy, still on the ground, looked up, his eyes wide with hope. Realizing the tide was turning against him, the bully stepped back, muttering under his breath. "Whatever," he said, frustration palpable. He turned and sauntered away, leaving the small boy behind. Zithar felt a swell of triumph. "Are you okay?" he asked the younger boy, kneeling beside him and offering a hand. The boy nodded, relief flooding his features as he took Zithar's hand and stood. "Thank you," he whispered, a shy smile creeping onto his face. Zithar felt a rush of warmth and pride. This was what it meant to be part of a community, to protect and uplift one another. As the other children gathered around them, clapping and cheering, Zithar realized he had learned an invaluable lesson. Humanity's greatest strength lay in its ability to connect, empathize, and stand up for one another. As the celebration of their small victory unfolded, Zithar felt the profound weight of his mission settle upon him. The bond he had formed with these children was no longer just a study. It was a commitment to understanding the essence of humanity and sharing it with the Xylor Empire. This experience would serve as a foundation upon which he could build a case for peace. But just as the mood lifted, a shadow fell over the playground. Zithar's heart dropped as he noticed several dark figures approaching from the opposite side. Xylor scouts, sent to locate him. They moved stealthily through the trees, their sharp eyes scanning the area for any signs of their commander. Zithar's stomach knotted. He had to act quickly. If the scouts spotted him here, it could jeopardize everything he had worked for. With a glance at the children, he understood the importance of keeping them safe, of shielding them from the complications of intergalactic politics. "Everyone, quick, we need to hide," he shouted, urgency in his voice. The children, sensing the change in atmosphere, rallied around him, ready to follow his lead. Zithar felt the adrenaline surge as he directed them toward a nearby grove of trees. "Stay close and be quiet." As they slipped into the shadows, Zithar's heart raced with fear and determination. The encounter with the scouts could shatter everything he had hoped to achieve. In that moment, he understood the stakes more than ever. The bond he had formed with these children was not just a personal victory. It was the key to bridging two worlds, and he would protect it at all costs. Zithar and the children nestled deep within the grove of trees, their breaths held in suspense as they listened intently to the sounds of the playground. The Xylor scouts moved stealthily through the area, their keen senses honed to detect any signs of Zithar's presence. Zithar felt a heavy weight on his chest, knowing that a single misstep could expose him and endanger the very children he had come to care for. "Are we safe?" whispered Sarah, her wide eyes glancing up at him. "For now," Zithar replied, his voice barely above a whisper. "But we need to stay quiet and remain hidden." He gestured for the others to huddle closer, instinctively placing himself between the scouts and the children. As they waited in silence, Zithar's mind raced with thoughts of how to protect these young humans. He thought of his own people back home, who had always viewed humans as chaotic and dangerous, but he had seen a different side of them, one filled with laughter, creativity, and compassion. Now, more than ever, he felt a strong desire to defend that perspective. The sound of footsteps grew louder, and Zithar's heart pounded. He focused on the children, their faces reflecting a mix of fear and curiosity. "Listen closely," he whispered. "If anything goes wrong, you need to run and find a safe place. Head for the nearest building and call for help. Don't look back." As the shadows of the scouts passed nearby, Zithar felt a surge of protectiveness. His mission had shifted from mere observation to active guardianship. He couldn't let his people's preconceived notions lead to harm for these innocent children. Suddenly, one of the scouts paused, sniffing the air. "I smell him," a low voice growled, the menace evident in its tone. "He's close." The other scouts exchanged glances, their expressions hardening. Zithar knew he had to act fast. "You all stay here," he commanded softly. "I'll draw their attention away. Just remember what I said. Run if you need to." "Wait," Tim cried out, gripping Zithar's sleeve. "You can't go out there alone." "I can't let them find you," Zithar insisted, determination etched across his face. "I promise I'll be back. Just trust me." With a final nod to the children, Zithar slipped out of the grove, moving quietly but purposefully toward the playground's edge. He could hear the scouts discussing their search, their voices growing closer. Drawing a deep breath, he decided to reveal himself, confident that he could talk his way out of the situation. "Hey," Zithar called, projecting his voice as he stepped into view. "Over here." The scouts turned in surprise, their eyes narrowing as they focused on him. "Zithar, you fool," one of them shouted. "What are you doing here? You were supposed to remain hidden." "I was observing," Zithar replied, keeping his tone steady. "But I discovered something crucial. These humans are not a threat. They're a resource, capable, creative, and compassionate. We mustn't treat them as enemies." The scouts exchanged incredulous glances, the tension in the air palpable. "You've lost your mind," another scout scoffed. "They're a danger to our mission. We can't risk exposure." "Can't you see?" Zithar argued, his heart racing. "Their strengths are in their connections, their ability to work together. We have much to learn from them. This is our chance to reshape our approach." The lead scout stepped closer, suspicion etched on his features. "You want to embrace this chaos. What if they turn against us?" Zithar met his gaze, unwavering. "I've seen how they stand up for one another. They helped me today when a bully threatened one of their own. If we foster a relationship with them, we could create allies instead of enemies." Just then, he noticed movement from the corner of his eye. The children had emerged from the trees, their faces filled with concern. Zithar's heart sank as he realized the scouts were now fully aware of their presence. "Stay back," he warned, stepping protectively in front of the children. "Foolish," the lead scout hissed, glaring at the children. "You've compromised us." But the children, emboldened by Zithar's bravery, took a step forward. "We're not dangerous," Tim shouted, his voice strong. "We just want to play and be friends." The scouts were taken aback, their hostility faltering. Zithar seized the moment, his voice resonating with conviction. See, this is the essence of humanity. They understand that collaboration is far stronger than conflict. We have a chance to create something meaningful. The lead scout hesitated, weighing the moment, the air thick with tension. Slowly, the expressions of doubt began to soften. But what if they turn on us? Zithar locked eyes with the children, who nodded resolutely, their spirit shining through. If you give them a chance, they will surprise you. The scouts exchanged looks of uncertainty, and after a long, tense pause, the lead scout sighed. Very well, we'll observe for now. But Zithar, if you're wrong, this will end poorly for all of us. With that, a fragile truce formed in the clearing, one that balanced on the precipice of possibility. Zithar turned to the children, who stood wide-eyed and anxious, and a sense of triumph flooded him. He had fought for them, and their essence, and in doing so, he had paved the way for a new alliance. Thank you for your courage, he whispered to them, pride swelling in his chest. Together, we can redefine what it means to be strong. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm glow over the playground, Zithar felt hope loom. In that moment, he realized that through connection, empathy, and the willingness to learn from one another, they could forge a future where humanity and Xylor could coexist, forever altered by the innocent power of play.